Hi guys, I'm Alan Hendricks with Intentional Walk, and we're about to start day 4 as we move through the 40-day devotional in the book How to Be a Man by Rick Burgess and Andy Blanks. Now remember, we want you to have your own copy of the Bible to follow along with us on this 40-day journey, and we'd also love for you to have your own copy of Rick and Andy's book. We highly recommend using the Bible app created by YouVersion. You can find it for free in your favorite app store. It's a great tool to have. You can take the Bible wherever you are, in your pocket, use it anytime. Now, the book is easy to access, but it's going to cost you something, but we think it's worth it. IBB has no skin in this game, so we're pointing you directly to the publisher to buy this book. Simply go to www.howtobeamanchallenge.com, and that will give you a path to be able to buy the book. Okay, let's get started with day 4. The home plate verse for today is Mark 9:35, which says, "He sat down and called the 12, and he said to them, 'If anyone would be first, he must be last of all and servant of all.'" Before we finish our look at the foundational concept of identity, we have to spend some time looking at one of Jesus' core teachings. I think it's one that many of us men struggle with, me included. It's a teaching that's in stark contrast to the words we sometimes speak to ourselves about what it means to be a man. But it's a concept that is foundational to who Jesus wants us to be. Now, here are the verses that surround our home plate verse for today. Then they came to Capernaum. When he was in the house, he asked them, "What were you arguing about on the way?" But they were silent, because on the way they had been arguing with one another about who was the greatest. Sitting down, he called the 12 and said to them, "If anyone wants to be first, he must be last of all and servant of all." Then he took a child, had him stand among them, and taking him in his arms, he said to them, "Whoever welcomes one little child such as this in my name welcomes me, and whoever welcomes me does not welcome me, but him who sent me." Capernaum was essentially Jesus' home base. This was where Jesus and the disciples hung out the most. When we encountered Jesus and the guys in Matthew 9, they had been on kind of a walking tour of Galilee in the region to the north. Jesus had been teaching, healing, and performing miracles. Here, we can almost see Jesus sitting back on a couch with his feet up on the coffee table, relaxed in a house, probably Peter's, teaching the disciples in a quiet moment. Look at what Jesus says. He's essentially describing the economy of the kingdom. It's as if he is saying, "Listen up, guys, because this is pretty different than how the world sees things." And then he tells them, to be great is to be a servant. To be strong means to be weak. To be first is to be last. What a countercultural message. This is the opposite of what our cultural understanding of what it is to be a man, isn't it? So often in our world, being a man is all about pursuing power and authority. It's crushing the weak. It's being the guy out front or on top. And yet, this isn't at all how the Bible describes being a man. Jesus says here and elsewhere that greatness in God's eyes is sacrificing for the good of others. It's looking out for our spouses, children, employees, friends, everyone in our life, and asking, how can I live in such a way as to always be lifting these people up? Servanthood is using your life to make other people's lives better. It's leveraging all of who you are to empower, equip, and encourage those around you. And it's at the very heart of your identity as a Christ follower. Now then, let's talk about processing the pursuit. Here's when you need to find something to take notes with. Grab a notebook or use your phone. Be prepared to pause the video as you need to, and feel free to dwell a little while on each section. Here goes number 1. Why is it such a hard concept for us to implement? What is it about seeing ourselves as less than others that seems to strike at the heart of our understanding of masculinity? In Philippians, Paul writes, "Do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves. Let each of you look not only into his interests, but also to the interest of others. In verse 4, Paul seems to give us a strategy towards actually implementing this concept. What does he say is the key to seeing ourselves as servants? What has to happen in our hearts for us to begin to see the needs of others? Look at that question this way. If you're married, what has to happen in your heart for you to be aware of what your wife needs? If you have kids, what has to happen in your heart to truly see what your children need? On your team, what has to happen in your heart to understand what your teammates need off the field? Take some time today to pray to God. Ask Him to give you a heart of empathy for those around you. Ask Him to give you the discernment to make you aware of what is going on in their lives, as well as the courage to act on what He reveals to you. Thank God for serving you by sending His Son to die so that you may have life. You know, this is good stuff, but it's hard stuff too. Most of us have been so entrenched in the world that we have only worked on the muscles of competition. For us, it's about winning. Today's message is that in the eyes of God, putting others first is the real win. I hope these devotions are getting to you and making you think. As I mentioned earlier, you can get the book I'm teaching through directly from the publisher by going to www.howtobeamanchallenge.com. Now, I also want to give you one of our wristbands to use as a reminder to keep up with these devotions and to simply be reminded to have an intentional walk every day. We have these bracelets in black with white lettering or in white with black lettering, available for free. Just shoot me an email at frontoffice@intentionalwalk.org or direct message me on Twitter at IBB_tweets or message me on Instagram at IBB_Insta. All I need to know is your mailing address and what color you want, and I'll send it out for free right away. That's it for today. Until next time, keep hitting them between the foul poles. God bless.
Okay, Capernaum. Is it just C-A-P-E-R-N-U-M?
No, N-A-U-M.
That's what I thought. N-A-U-M.
Capernaum.
Capernaum. Yeah, it's still Capernaum.
But why? Is that because it's like from the Greek or Hebrew or something? Because that doesn't match the English language.
Jacqueline is freaking out because it doesn't match the English language because it's not E-U-M, it's A-U-M.
Or I-U-M.
Or I-U-M.
It's not English, that's why.
That's what I'm asking.
Okay, that's all. I had been pronouncing it Capernaum, and she was like, it's not Capernaum, it's Capernaum. So, anyway.
Capernaum.
Right. Okay.
Capernaum.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.